Hello everyone, good morning. Welcome to this compulsory class. As far as your compulsory English is concerned, your syllabus has been divided into 2 semesters. For your first semesters, you have to study 5 units. These units have been divided into prose, poems, grammar, vocabulary and life skills. So, your first unit, that is prose unit, it contains 3 essays or 3 articles. Second unit, it is related with poems, it contains 3 poems. Fourth unit, which is related with grammar, it contains 3 topics of the grammar, that is direct, indirect, active voice and negative sentences. And the next one, fourth one, is the topic of vocabulary, and the fifth one is related to life skills. In this lecture, we are going to discuss a unit first, that is prose, and in that we are going to study the second unit, which is written by or composed by or presented to us by Rabindranath Tagore, and the title is The Homecoming. So Rabindranath Tagore, one of India's most known and famous writer, playwright, short story writer and composer of a number of poems, was born in 1861 and died in 1941. Most of his literary work is written in Bengali language, and later these literary works or literary pieces or poems are rendered into English by himself and others. So W.B. Yeats, a contemporary of Rabindranath Tagore, introduced him to the Western world, and we know that he was the first Asian to win a Nobel Prize. He is a Nobel laureate in literature. He was awarded Nobel Prize for Literature in 1913. So he was awarded for Nobel Prize for his invaluable services to the literature and literary work. He is famous for his short stories, plays and poems. Gitanjali is a collection of his poems. It consists of number of poems. Then he is also famous for short stories like Kabuliwala, Homecoming, then Post Office, Gora. So his fame rests on these short stories and novel. So present story, The Homecoming, is an example of artistic skills and merits of Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore. So, first of all, it is essential or necessary to focus on important characters and setting of the story, that is the homecoming. In the present story, 3 characters are important. First one is Phatik Chakravarti, then his younger brother Makhan. Third one is Bishambar, and what we have to keep in mind, Phatik's mother. Her name is not mentioned throughout the story, but her role is very important. So present story also tells us about the difference between the village life and city life. So we have to keep in mind the characters and the setting. The story is set in village as well as city, that is Calcutta. It tells us about how life changes when central character of the protagonist, or the we can call the hero of the novel, short story, Phatik, moves from his village, moves from his home to the city. So it is journey of Fatik from his village home to the city and how city treated him. What was his expectation and how he was frustrated in that process. So story starts. First I will narrate the story, then we will go towards the theme, characterization and other aspects or the literary elements of the story. We have to concentrate this story. We have to divide this story into two categories or two different types. That is, we have to divide this story into we have to dedicate our attention toward the village life and toward the city life. The present story is about Fatik Chakravarti. The Fatik Chakravarti was a ringleader. Now all the first half of the story is about Fatik Chakravarti's village life, and the second half of the story deals with Fatik Chakravarti's stay in a city. So first half of the story is to be compared with the second half of the story to understand the value and the significance of the title as well as to understand the theme of the story. As far as the village life is concerned, the author tells us about the nature, author tells us about the role, author tells us about the position of Fatik Chakravarti and his expectations from family and his expectations from his mother. When he was living in a village, he was the ringleader of the boys. We have to keep in mind. Now I am here focusing on his village life. In village, he was a ringleader. All the boys obeyed him and he is mischievous. We have to keep in mind, he is mischievous. He is light-hearted. He is playful and full of life and energy. So these are the characteristics, these are the peculiar features of Fatik. While he was staying in a village, he was the ringleader, he was the boss, he was the leader of the companion or the friends. Then he was mischievous, he was light-hearted, he was playful. Then all these things are to be compared when he moves towards the city, when he shifted into the city, and how all these things were left behind. So Fatik Chakravarti was a ringleader, and author tells us about a new mischief came into his mind. He was playing along with his companion at the bank of the river, and there was a log. Their log was kept there to prepare a mast from it. Log means trunk. A log was lying on the river side or the bank of the river, and it was kept there by the boat maker because he wanted to make mast out of it. And just in order to make a fun, Fatik called his companions and asked them to roll down the log into the river so that when the owner of the log will be there, he will be surprised to see that the log is not there. As Fatik ordered, all the boys gathered and they stood near the log and they started to push it. And at the time of pushing it into the river, his younger brother Makhan arrived and sat on the log. It was unexpected thing. The boys requested him to get down, but Makhan refused to get down, and he sat as if he is a saint and he is meditating on the futility of game. Futility means uselessness, futility of the game. So it was a sort of challenge to the post, to the position, to the dignity of his brother Fatik. So Fatik ordered him, Makhan, get down. But Makhan was adamant, he didn't move from the place. Then Fatik ordered boys to roll down the log, push the log, and along with we have to push the Makhan. So boys followed his order and they counted 1, 2, 3, and with the word 3, with the count of 3, the roll was pushed into the river and Makhan was down. Makhan was fallen down. So Makhan became angry and Fatik was sure what is going to happen. The author here used the word like a fate and furies, he rose from the earth. So important point here is that the allusion used by the author, that is fate and furies. Like a fate and furies, he rose from the mother earth. Fate and fury stands for the Greek goddesses who has a capability to bring danger to human beings. So Makhan rose from the mother earth and rushed towards the direction of Fatik and started to scratch him, started to beat him and started to kick him. Fatik didn't beat him, Fatik didn't hit him, Fatik was just standing there and crying. He went to home. So what is going to happen next was expected by the Fatik. Fatik was sure that now he has to undergo a punishment by a mother. He has to bear scolding, nagging, and Fatik was tired of this scolding and nagging. Fatik was tired of the disciplinary nature of the mother. After some time, a stranger came there and the stranger asked the address of Fatik Chakravarti's home. The Fatik Chakravarti didn't show him the right direction. He vaguely just pointed his finger and he tells the stranger, go there. So the stranger was unable to get the exact location, and so the stranger once again asked, that unknown person once again asked Fatik, where shall I go? So Fatik was angry and Fatik said, go and find it yourself. And he continued chewing the grass. Fatik Chakravarti was chewing the grass and he continued his job of chewing the grass. After some time, a servant came from home and he asked Fatik to come to home. So Fatik was sure that when he will be at home, he will receive a sound beating by a mother, because Makhan had already informed the mother what had happened at the bank of the river. So Fatik refused to go to home, but the servant was the master of occasion. He picked up the Fatik and Fatik was dragged to the home. No sooner did the mother saw the Fatik and she started to beat him and said, once again you hit Makhan? Fatik said, no, mother, I didn't hit him, I didn't beat him. But Makhan said, yes, mother, he did beat me. So Makhan decided now not to change his words. The fact was that Makhan wasn't beaten by the Fatik. Instead, Makhan had beaten Fatik and he came to home and reported the mother that I was beaten by the Fatik. Then the mother started to shout at him and mother started to scold him and mother started to beat him. Fatik pushed the mother away and mother accused him that he is beating his own mother. You are a villain, you are not good and you are not gentle, you are beating your own mother. At the same time, the stranger who had asked for the address of Fatik Chakravarti arrived there and Fatik was ashamed to see him. As soon as the mother saw him, Fatik's mother uttered the sentence, Dada, when have you come? As soon as Fatik realized he is the maternal uncle of Makhan and Fatik, he could not see the face of that stranger. Then he told mother that he returned from Bombay, and when he came to know that you are a widow, I immediately came to see you and I am going to stay here for some days. Then Bishambar, their maternal uncle, the brother of their mother, asked about the children's progress in school. So here you can see the partisan attitude of the mother. Then mother told that Makhan is as good as a lamb. Makhan is very good in reading. Makhan is fond of reading. and he is very good in study. But fatigue is perpetual nuisance. The word used by author is perpetual nuisance. Perpetual means continuous. He is perpetual nuisance. He is not good at study. And she also says, she added that someday I fear he might kill my Makhan. He might draw Makhan into a river. And so, this insult was unbearable for Fatigue. Then Fatigue's uncle Bishambar assured her that he will take Fatigue with him, and in city he will get a good education. So this was a sort of relief for a mother. So Bishambar was eager to take Fatigue to the city, and more eager was Fatigue. He was continuously asking his maternal uncle Bishambar, when shall we have to go to the city? Then before the departure, Fatigue gave all his things to the Makhan. He gave him marbles, he gave him his kite, he gave him his fishing rod, and he was dreaming about what type of life will be in the city. So he was tired of nagging, he was tired of constant nagging, he was tired of discipline of mother, and he wanted to get rid of his mother. And this was an ample opportunity for him to be away from village, to be away from mother, and to be the part of the city. Finally, they moved into the city. The day came when they had to go to the city. That day, the mother was very upset because Fatigue didn't show any concern about mother. Now, this is the first part of the city. The first part of the story tells us about the Fatigue's life in a village. In village, he was mischievous. In village, he was playful. In village, he was full of life. In village, he was a ringleader. But after this, the second part of the story, which is related to city, tells us about the tragic fate, the tragic incident that came into the life of Fatigue. Now we are going to see what happened in the city. Bishambar's wife was not happy to receive Makhan into the family because she had already 3 children, and it was a sort of extra burden for her. And from that day, the attitude of negligence from maternal auntie or maternal aunt harassed Fatigue. So Fatigue could not adjust himself into the cramped environment of the city. It was sort of suffocation, it was sort of crampedness. He was not feeling happy, he was not feeling relaxed in the cramped atmosphere of the city. He used to peep out of the window, and whenever he saw the children playing in the open field, his heart longs to play with them. His heart used to long to be part of that game, and he used to remember his days that he had spent in the village, in the open field, in the meadows. MEADOW, meadow. After that, it was really difficult for him to adjust with this new life, with this new setting. Whenever he started to behave like a child, he was called as a baby, and whenever he started to behave like grown-up person, he was called as arrogant. So he was just 14 years old, and it was really difficult for him to identify his role, whether he is a child or whether he is a grown-up. Whenever he shows the curiosity like child, or whenever he speaks like a child, he is called as baby, and whenever he answers like a grown-up, he is called as arrogant. Then after that, writer tells us about his progress in school. He was brought to the city in order to educate him, in order to make him good, in order to make him fit enough to survive into the society. And in the author tells us about his progress in a school. He could not do much in a school. He was the most lazy, or we can say the most dull boy of the school, and he became the subject of ridicule. Even his cousins dislike him. They also try to avoid him. So in village he was not accepted, he was not loved by mother. In city his his aunt and cousin started to behave him as if he is a stranger. So he didn't receive love, he didn't receive recognition, and didn't receive respect. Not at the village, not in the city, and not even in the school. In school he could not do anything, and the teacher used to beat him. One day he returned to his home and asked aunt money for purchasing a book. Then aunt shouted at him and said, "How can we afford to give you books? How can we afford to give 5 times a book in a month?" Now it was really difficult for Fatik to do anything without a book, because he could not do it with a book. Now without book, to complete his study or to make progress in school was really impossible. The teachers were unable to understand the reality on the fact, and they used to give him a sound beating. One day he gathered his courage and asked Bishambar, his uncle, "When shall I go home? When can I go home?" So this is the reference to the title, that is the homecoming. Fatik asked his uncle Bishambar, "When can I go home?" To this question, Bishambar's answer was, "We will go to home when the holidays come." So holidays are going to be in the month of November. So Fatik has to wait till the month of November, and he was longing to be in the open field. He was longing to be with mother. He was longing to be with his companion, because this cramped atmosphere, this attitude of negligence, and this attitude of the school, the attitude of cousins, and attitude of aunt was really unbearable for him. So one day he gathered courage and asked his Bishambar, his uncle, "When can I go home?" The answer was given, "Wait till holidays come." The answer was, "Wait till holidays come." Then one day the Fatik didn't return from school, and his uncle, aunt, they started to search everywhere, but they could not find him. And finally the police were asked to probe into the matter. And after some days, after 2 days, Fatik was brought back by the police. So it was a rainy day, and he was suffering from severe cold, severe fever, and headache. So it was an attack of malaria, and Fatik realized that, Fatik sensed that it will be a nuisance for her aunt to be at home. And so instead of going to home, he decided to go away to his own home. But the police found him and was brought back to home. So he became almost unconscious, and he was lying on a bed, and he was continuously talking about his home. It was sort of delirium. It was sort of delirium. So So it was an attack of malaria. Doctor was invited. Doctor examined him and announced that the condition is very critical. There is an attack of malaria, and so the fatigue mothers had the Bishambar sent a message to fatigue mothers. Then, whenever the fatigue became unconscious, he used to say about have holidays, have holidays come? When can I go home? And he used to say. He used to utter the words that were uttered by the sailors, 3 fathom, 4 fathom. So this fathom is very important because fatigue was trying to explore his own heart. Others could not explore his heart. Others were unable to understand what is in his heart, what were the expectations, what were the anticipations, and what were the feelings of fatigue. Then finally, mother came. And she rushed into the bed. She plunged into the fatigue's bed and said, my darling, my darling. So fatigue. So these words are important. My darling, my darling. So fatigue just feebly answered, ah. So he was unable to speak properly. He just moved his head and looked at mother and said, ah. So he was hungry for love. He was waiting to hear such sort of words which shows respect, which shows appreciation, which shows love, which shows affections for him. But in village, his mother never shows a concern, his mother never shows a feeling of love, his mother never shows feeling of affection for him. And now when he was on the deathbed, his mother arrived there and uttered the word, my darling, and fatigue just feebly answered, yeah. Then the final remark of fatigue, the final utterance of fatigue is very important, and he said to his mother in a meek voice, in a low voice, feebly he says, mother, finally holidays have come. So this is the last sentence of the story, the homecoming. Mother, finally holidays have come. It means now he is going to die. He is going to know more in this world, and the story ends here. So we have to keep in mind the life of the fatigue in a village and life of the fatigue in a city. The cramped atmosphere, the negligence, lack of love, lack of affection, lack of acceptance, and discrimination killed fatigue. So story moves from light-hearted tone. At the beginning, story is light-hearted. When the description of the city was there, the mood of the story was light one. And at the end of the story, the author changes his mood and the story became a tragic tale, heart-wrenching tale. Heart-wrenching tale. It tells us about the fatigue's death, fatigue's end, and which is full of sorrow, pity, and pathos. So we feel pity, we feel pity, and we feel the feelings of pity are arose in the mind of the reader. So this is the unique skill of Rabindranath Tagore. The story is different. At the beginning it was full of light, full of humor, and at the end it becomes heart-touching and heart-wrenching. The 14 years lad, he didn't receive love, he didn't receive affection, he didn't receive appreciation, and this attitude of negligence, this attitude of discrimination killed him. So, homecoming, the title is very important. The final statement, mother, the holidays have come, tells us about the fatigue's final homecoming, that is his death. In this story, we are going to discuss, or going to come across homecoming title. The first one is when the servant picked up Fatik and his mother started to shout at him and started to beat him when there was a quarrel, there was a fight between Fatik and Makan. So this is the first homecoming. The second homecoming was his stay in a city. There he didn't receive love, he didn't receive affection, he didn't receive care. So neither in the city nor in the village he received appreciation. We know that every soul craves for acceptance, every soul craves for respect, and every person or every soul craves for love. So these three things were denied to the young lad of 14 years, and this tender-hearted, light-hearted boy died because he didn't receive this sort of love. And the final homecoming stands for Fatik's tragic end. Thank you very much.